Hey everyone, it's the Nitty Professor. Yesterday I finished a few more skeins of Handspun and I'm kind of looking for a little advice. So I'll show you what I have in mind. This is one of my buckets. Here's the second one that has some of the Handspun that I finished, and I'd love to share a little bit about my my goal, what I'm after. Now I have multiple skeins now that I have spun and I'll be honest, this is all different kinds of wool, but that's fine because this is sort of my first effort. So I want to take all this yarn that I've made that's in a turquoise vein and make a sweater with it. So I was just weighing all this yarn. It weighs 559 grams. And for some reason, I find it easier to deal with grams. I don't know, I think I'm 100 gram skeins. The sweater I weighed that was finished was 575 grams. So this is pretty close. So my thought is I want to take all these different turquoises and then add a ribbed bottom and cuffs and neck and just do like a striped sweater. So let's just take a look here. All these skeins they're pretty much what I'm capable of at this point, which is a 3-ply. I spin the individual strands pretty much as thin as I can get them without having them just fall apart. And then I make a 3-ply. So we have this one, and I think they're 2. So this is 2. They're basically 8 ounces. No, 4. Yeah, 4 ounces. I think that's right. Of this guy. So it's kind of a light turquoise. Then I have, this was one of the earlier ones that I did in a 3-ply. It's a little more loosely spun. It's still a 3-ply, but the gauge is probably going to be a little different. So I refuse to worry about that at this point. And something tells me that by the time I, stretch these fibers, that it'll actually come out close to the same thinness. This one will probably be a little thinner, but again, I refuse to worry about that right now because life is short and I just want to have fun. And this is kind of a cool one. This has some stellina in it and a little bit of pink mixed in. So it was fun to spin that. I think it's called Mermaid. And here's what I spun yesterday. Or finished plying. I spent 6 weeks spinning it. 6 months. It's been a busy year so far, y'all. But this is actually my favorite of the ones I want to put into this sweater. And it's a little woolier. I prefer spinning yarn that has a bit of a woolly texture. This one here is kind of woolen, but it's a little smoother. I really like spinning wool that is not totally smooth. I don't know. It's fuzzier. Now this little guy, I had some leftover of this that, it's really difficult to make all the bobbins the exact same length. Even though I weigh it beforehand, you spin and it comes out different thicknesses and it is what it is. So I had some leftover of this and I mixed it in with what I applied yesterday, and I mixed in a little bit of extra natural fiber. It was one I was learning to spin earlier on. And I do have a skein of that natural wool mixed with some pink. Again, it was like leftover and I didn't want to waste it, so I made this yarn. And this is even more rustic in the texture. But I was toying with using this for the ribbed cuffs. But I don't know. I'm not sure there's enough. I'm not sure. This is probably more like 50 grams. So I doubt that's enough. So what I thought I would ask is, I've got some other alternatives here and I would ask your opinion. This one I thought would work well because look at the colors. However, it's probably the first skein that I actually successfully spun and plied. and it's only a 2-ply. And as you can probably tell, I mean, it's pretty good, but it's a little irregular. And the quality, I'm just not quite as pleased with it. So I'm thinking this might be easier to just make a scarf out of, or maybe even a hat, because it is pretty, and I'm proud of how I did with it because I was still learning. But as you can see, like here, you can kind of see some of the spinning is just uneven. And I'm not sure I want to integrate it in with this where, it just turned out really good. I just feel like I could sell this if I wanted, I'm kind of just like one approach right now to spinning. There are a lot of people spin different yarn different ways, singles, plied, more or less spun, art yarns, etc. And I really have just focused, I think partly for the relaxation's sake, on getting this 3-ply yarn kind of like down. So now it's kind of like I know how to do it, so I just keep doing it. But here's some other options. I have this red. This is beautiful. I think this yarn turned out pretty good too. It's a really interesting color mix and blend, and it is a 3-ply. I think it's 3-ply. I'm pretty sure. Turned out well. Yeah, I can tell because this, like, there's a piece there that actually literally has 3 colors in it. So it's definitely a 3-ply. And I don't know, like, would that go with these? So you tell me. I'm kind of looking for advice. Like, would that be cool to have the red be the ribbed bottom and cuffs of the sweater with this turquoise? Let's look at some other possibilities, some of the ones that I'm proud of how I spun. This one turned out really good. This is a, well, actually, that my sister gave me. It's a rare breed from Georgia, a native Gulf breed. And it was kind of a challenge just because of the way the roving was done, but it feels wonderful. You can almost feel some of the grease in there. Let me hold this one up with these colors. I don't know. What do you think? Would that work well? We'll call this lavender, even though it's a kind of a blend. But so when I ask for your feedback, which I would really love, we'll talk about the red, the lavender. I don't know what you think. Let's see. Here's another option. This one turned out pretty good. This has some blues and maroons in it. And I'm less sold on this, but we'll take a look, see what you think, if that would go together. I mean, maybe. Well, I think the reason I'm thinking it's not the best is because the blue in this has a little bit of a purple cast to it, whereas obviously this blue is more green. So I'm less sold on that. I'm kind of thinking the red would be cool. And I thought this black would be nice. Black is just a great mixes with anything. So the issue with this yarn, this is naturally black Shetland, and the way that this was a cloud preparation from my friend Kelly, and this yarn is just heavier. So I feel like the gauge might be an issue. I don't know, since it's ribbing. Yeah, I'm not sure. I don't want the gauge to be an issue. What else do I have? I have this. This is a Malabrigo. And tricky to spin because it's a merino superwash and it's so fine that it was almost cutting through my fingers. I had to really watch how much I spun at a time versus a really woolen preparation that's just like softer and gentler. But that could be interesting. So ultramarine with the turquoise. What do you think? I would be really curious about your opinion. And let me see if I have any other good options. I have a couple of yarns here that they're already designated for a special purpose. For a while I was thinking about using this silver. Because color-wise, great, but this is an alpaca. And it's a single. And it would be just a totally different consistency and feel and probably gauge. So I was thinking maybe not such a good idea. And here's another one I have. It's orange. And again, it's beautiful. Would probably look swell. I'm concerned about the gauge. I think this one is going to be heavier, thicker than this. It just seems to me like if I put them together, right? I don't know. This one is a little bit earlier, so you can see that there are different thicknesses. So there might be parts of it where the gauge is just great, and other parts where the gauge is but it's a nice color. It's a tough decision, y'all. Tough decision. But I'd like to make it soon so I can get started, because I would have to start with the ribbing, right? And then I have really not a whole lot else that would work. This is a really early skein. I think this was one from a lesson that I took. So I don't know. This might just live as a skein. And then I have this one. This is some yarn that I carded and then spun, and it's sort of an experiment because each kind of yarn or fiber that went into it is significantly different, and it came out a little wacky, so I don't think that one will work. The other ones I have already have a designated purpose, and I'll share them with you. So I have this a sort of an indigo and, a mustard, sort of golden, and I have enough of both colors to spin up to make a sweater's quantity. I kind of interrupted myself. I made 3 skeins, and that's kind of where I'm at. So hopefully if I do, a total of 8, I should be able to make a sweater. But they're already spoken for. So anyhow, those are the options I have. And I'll tell you where I'm leaning. I'm kind of leaning towards using the red. I'll hold that up for you again. See if you think it's a good idea or a bad idea. There we go. What do you think? I think it would be a unique color combination for sure. Part of what sells me is that the way these yarns are spun is quite similar. So I think they would work together. It's a fun puzzle to have, right? My friend Kelly, she's making sweaters out of her handspun all the time. And it'll be a while before I can catch up. But then this is maybe the other really good option. Is this, let's call it lavender, or possibly the ultramarine. All right, well, I'm really hoping for some good advice. Let me know what you think. I'm probably going to start working on this in the next couple of days, so hope to hear from a few of you soon. Appreciate your tuning in and listening, and let me know what your experience is with knitting from your own handspun. Do you have issues, for example, with gauge, consistency? Do you really try to spin yarn that's designated for a sweater that is the same wool, same ply, same weight, etc.? Or are you a little haphazard like me and just sort of wing it? Oh, I'd love to hear. Maybe you have some advice for me. But in any case, looking forward to hearing what you have to say about the colors. I appreciate your tuning in. Hope y'all have a wonderful weekend, and we'll talk soon. Ciao.